something I saw with her that was really interesting to me, where she made some comments about money and relationships. And her views on money and relationships were just kind of shocking in the sense that it was like, whoa, like, wow, like she really believes these things. And and I was concerned because I've heard both of our daughters listening to her music. And so she influences millions and millions of young ladies out here in the world. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Um, it worries me kind of as a dad because I've kind of seen what can go wrong when you view relationships in a transactional fashion. When you, unfortunately, let's just be honest, when you present yourself as kind of a prostitute, when you say, hey, if you have enough money, you can have all of this, but if you ain't got no money, then I'm done with you. And I thought it would be worth reviewing, I know my girls can get so mad at me because they love Summer Walker as a singer, but I said, sometimes daddy's got to step in and kind of say, look, this ain't cool. We gotta we gotta break this down. All right. So I don't know how many of you know who she is, but if you do, let me know. Give me a yes if you've heard her name. She's really talented. She's an extraordinarily good singer. And she is just one of the best out here. I mean, just hands down. And by the way, I'm on that funny Wi-Fi. So if I start glitching or something, let me know, like say something in the chat. That way I'll know if I have an issue here with that. So let me jump into this. I'm gonna go to my Instagram and and I was gonna start off by doing a couple other things first, but we'll get to the summer thing. But by the way, if you go to wokeblacktees.com, here's one of the shirts that's there. Investing is the new black. So I thought I would model some of the stuff that we have in case you want to wear some apparel that reflects your values and your views. And so this is one of the shirts that we have, and the other one is exercise your options. Those who have options end up doing well financially and having wealth. And I'm not going to do this. I'm going to skip to this one here. Now, what I want to do is let me turn my audio on, and I'd like for you to help me and let me know. You know how I am with the technology. Give me a yes if you can hear this video. When I play it, just type yes in the chat real quick so that you guys can let me know that you can hear this because this is really worth breaking down in a heavy way. Money and mindset are deeply connected. Financial psychology is massive. I wrote my dissertation on financial psychology. I'm married to a therapist. So my wife and I had extensive conversations about this. So check this out. I'm gonna play this, and I want you to kind of and remember. I think she's 29 years old. She became famous, I think, when she was a teenager, and she influences a lot of young women. So here, I'm gonna play this video. Tell me what you think.
So broke, I will leave you.
Figure it out. So you're here to just bleed them dry.
Yes.
As soon as you get everything, you're off. Do you normally seek out the victims, or do they come? Is it inbound calls?
Oh, no. I never chase.
So it's never outbound.
I only attract.
Inbound only.
And if you came and talked to me, that's your fault.
Right, your prerogative. You signed up for this.
Ladies, if you try to ride or die, you will, in fact, die. Don't do that no more. You look stupid.
I do want to think, and maybe this is me being optimistic, that not like 100% exclusively that will be the experience. Maybe there are some good dynamics still left, no?
It could be. I'm not a man hater. I don't know. I just don't like them anymore. Like,
When you say them,
like men, I don't like to date wise. Like, y'all can provide, but like to like them, I don't know. When you go broke, I will leave you.
Okay,
Oh.
so did everybody hear that? Yeah, that was wild. That was so wild. Give me kind of a one sentence response in terms of what your thought process was when you heard this 29-year-old super famous woman who's highly influential with young women speak like that. What did you think? Okay, well, see, Miss P says she's a fool. Tiffany says, wow, surprise. Who is she? Her name is Summer Walker. She's super, super, super famous, actually. She's heartbroken and confused, as Erica, or says Erica. I kind of understand her perspective. Okay, says Tashi. Okay, all right. Typical woman nowadays. That's kind of heavy. Uh, dangerous behavior. Okay, Kevin said, fuck. Okay, see, Kevin, you can't, don't be talking like that. Don't be talking like that. So, first off, as men, I hope that you will join me in saying we love black women. Like I, not that I mean you gotta love every black woman. There might be a black woman that gets on your nerves somewhere every now and then, but we love black women collectively, and so that's important to remember. We believe in the black family. Do you agree that the existence of black families is important for the black community? Give me a yes if you agree that strong black families are critical for us to move forward as a community. And let me know if you agree that strong black families are important for wealth building. Let me know if you agree that strong black families are better for the protection of children. Give me a yes. All right. Okay. I want to start there so that we can have the conversation the right way. Now there's some science, some economic science I'm going to tie to this. Because remember, my wife and I, we are a finance professor and a therapist in both in our 50s. So we have, we've been around the block and we have been in academia and we've studied all these things for a long time. And the thing about that really you want to understand is that every tree has roots. So when I hear her talk, I'm not just hearing her words, I'm hearing her past. When she talks, I'm not just seeing what she's saying, I'm seeing what she's lived. Does that make sense? Like when she talks, she thinks that those are her ideas, but those are not her ideas. Those are ideas that she formulated from a set of experiences or from a culture that she was raised in. So somebody showed her this, somebody made her this way, right? Could be a bad relationship, could be a bad parent, could be a bad, grew up in a dangerous neighborhood, all kinds of things, right? So I want to say it in a way where I think you can jump in and criticize her if you want to, and that's up to you. But I prefer to look at it from a scientific standpoint and to say, where does this come from? How does this work? And is this even healthy? So I'm going to go ahead and jump on a limb and say, I think that's really unhealthy, right? And I really saw a lot of damage there. And I'm not talking about unhealthy for her victims, but unhealthy for her too. I think it's unhealthy for her to carry this kind of perspective on relationships. And my heart goes out to any man that tries to, to love a person that thinks that way. It's no different from a man who says women are only good for sex. If I see them, I'm gonna have sex with them and dump them, and they're garbage and they're worthless and I don't like them at all, right? Like I don't think anybody would want their daughter to date a man who says I hate women, I don't like women, right? If you don't like women, maybe you should date men or something, right? That might be better for you, and same thing, right? So this is where I'm going to start that. All right, so let's talk about scientific theory in finance, so we can make this a financial lesson. Because as I've mentioned to you all a lot and repeatedly, and I'm gonna keep on saying this, money and psychology are really, really connected. The way you think affects your economic outcomes, your economic perspective, how you view money, how you pursue money, what you're willing to trade for money, all kinds of things, right? It's very, very deep. It's really fascinating stuff. So first theory I'm going to throw out at you and share with you is there's something called attachment trauma and financial security that can be viewed as emotional safety. Okay. So basically, from a psychological perspective, early attachment trauma, especially when you were neglected or in an unstable situation or you were abandoned, that can condition somebody to equate resources to reliability, right? So if you have attachment trauma from childhood, then what you will do is you will falsely equate a person's ability to give you money to whether or not you think they're a good person, whether they can be depended upon, it's stuff like that. I can't tell you how many times I wrote a check for something just to be helpful or because it was something I wanted to do. And suddenly the person thought I was the most reliable person in the world. Or maybe there's some next thing you know, there's some woman who's trying to sleep with me because I gave some money to something or a charity or something, right? And so this can come from that attachment trauma. So you see somebody that has money and you assume the person with money is a better human than the person without money. That the person with money is more valuable than the person without money. The person with money is better for your life than the person without money. And that's a very dangerous way to think because Diddy showed up in a lot of people's lives with a lot of money. And his goal was to get you covered in baby oil and do only God knows what with you. And so attachment theory from Bowlby 1969 suggests that people with anxious or avoidant attachment styles may overvalue material stability as a substitute for emotional safety because the emotions and money are connected. So you're not really seeking, you think you're getting emotional safety when really you just got some money, you got some financial security. So you love your white boss because your white boss writes checks and sends you money. And then next thing you know, you respect your boss more than you respect your man. I talked to a young man who went through this. He said that literally he asked his girlfriend, he said, why don't you show respect to me? You show more respect to your boss than you do to me. And she said, that's because my boss gives me money. Well, there's a whole set of theories that link around. So material stability can be seen as a substitute for emotional safety. And behavioral finance finds that money often acts as a psychological buffer against uncertainty. That money is a buffer, money is a cushion, it's a football helmet for all the trauma and the tragedy and the uncertainty that you're dealing with in the world. So you're cracking your skull against the universe. The world is kicking you in the ass, but money makes you feel like, okay, I'm a little safer than I was before. And to some extent, there's some truth to that. I'm a big advocate for financial security. I've talked to you about that. I believe that we should do that for our children. If you love your kids, you will help them be safe in this unsafe, unstable world. And some parents just don't care. They don't invest for their kids. They don't want to listen to a person like me. They don't think that what we're saying is worth listening to. So next thing you know, their 25-year-old is out here on TikTok crying and begging for money and trying to sleep with people in their DMs because they can't pay the rent. That to me is something that would be tantamount to parental neglect. You neglected that child when you did not prepare them for the world. I'm sorry. Some of y'all got kids and I don't want to hurt your feelings, but let's just keep it honest here. Let's keep it real. Let's move on. So it says here that in behavioral finance, when you find that money is a psychological buffer against uncertainty, that when you need that you need a rich partner, and that can be an unconscious way to regulate your anxiety. So if you look at, I saw Summer Walker. I don't know if this is her boyfriend or not, but I literally saw her, this beautiful 29-year-old woman, at an awards show with her mystery date. And when I tell you that this man looks like somebody straight out of Tales from the Crypt, I mean, there's the white folks and then there's ugly white folks. This man, Lord Jesus, this man, you look at him and you say, "Oh, you must have some money because you ain't got much else going on." And let me see if I can show you the picture. Y'all gonna laugh when I show you. This is we don't laugh. We're not here to make fun of people, but Lord, man, sometimes it just be funny. Sometimes the joke just writes itself now, doesn't it? All right, I'm gonna pull this picture up so y'all can see it. I thought it was funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my weird sixth sense of humor. Let me share the image with y'all so y'all can just see what of all this deliciousness that she's attached herself with. And again, I think this might be they're saying online that this could be her boyfriend. So there she is. I don't know who this man is. He does he have one eye? I don't know. He's like Captain Hook. He's got one eye open, and he looks like he probably could be her grandfather if she was white. She's not white. Um, yeah, and or maybe he went to high school with her great grandma or something. That's maybe that's how they met. She was at great grandma's house and that's the guy that lives across the street. I don't know what was happening here, but I thought that was interesting, right? But again, it probably sounds like I'm trolling and clowning. I'm not trying to troll and clown. I'm just I don't care. That just was funny to me. Anyway, so that speaks to, preferences, right? Like, okay, I want money trumps everything, and I get it. It's, but unfortunately, I can tell you that one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to money is they take money too seriously. Money becomes their god, and at some point you lose balance. You end up finding that the thing that you desire the most was really a desire that was built on fulfilling a deficiency that you never addressed. And so you get all the money in the world, but then you say, oh my God, I have all this money, but I'm not happy. I have all this money, but I'm not healthy. I have all this money, but my life is full of chaos and drama. Well, that's because you didn't seek the balance. The balance is critically important. Money is not a destination. Money is a tool. Money is a pathway. Money is a doorway to get you access to the real treasure, which is all the things that money cannot buy. That's what money can do for you. So go get your money. I want you to have your money. Again, just yesterday we were talking about the fact that Pastor Jamal Bryant said that only 13% of Black people own stocks. My research says the number's a little higher, like in the 30 something percent, 35%. But in the Black Business School, 91% of you own stock. And to tell you how I think, I'm not happy with 91%. I need that number to be 100%. So if you're still trying to figure out how to own stock, I wrote my dissertation on the stock market. I don't need an hour to show you how to invest. I need like 5 minutes of time and I can show you. So if you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, that's the URL, blackwealthmasterplan.com. There's a straightforward way to get started, and I really, really want you to start investing. Please, please, please do this. The stock market's the greatest wealth generator in the history of the world. I need you to be involved with that. All right. So moving on. So secondly, self-esteem may play a part in this. How many of you would think that maybe her self-esteem could be boosted a little bit? I'm not sure. But they say individuals with fragile self-worth may see relationships as transactional rather than true connections, equating desirability with what they can get rather than who they are. So that maybe they're thinking about relationships in terms of what I'm bringing to the table, what the other person's bringing to the table. And I get that to some extent, right? If we're all out here trying to survive, I think that everyone sort of bringing something to the table does make a difference. But when you define your whole entire worth based on what you're bringing or what they're bringing in terms of resources, that's a very dangerous way to look at things, right? So there's a theory, social exchange theory, from Holman's 1958, views relationships as cost benefit analysis. Somebody with low self-esteem may lean heavily on the material exchange because they undervalue their intrinsic worth. So because I'm not a worthy human being, I'm going to bring a bunch of money, or maybe because I don't feel like I'm worthy as a human, I'm just going to bring you lots of sex, right? I've seen that, right? And so ultimately, social exchange theory leads people to think of relationships in a way where it's like I'm worthless, but I do have a nice car, or I do have a nice house, and I do have money I can give you. I think that's a danger in the Black community. I think self-esteem, if we were able to increase our self-esteem just a little bit and know our true worth, you would see a complete shift in Black economics just based on that. For example, many of us go work for white folks because we don't believe that we have any ability to extract our own intrinsic value on our own. We don't believe that we're really worthy of anything until we get validated, until somebody gives you that promotion, that raise, that bachelor's degree that costs you $200,000 from some big white university. And so ultimately, when that becomes a wealth transfer, we're transferring our wealth to their pockets in exchange for validation, in exchange for self-esteem, in exchange for what I call the mama I made it prospect, where you can walk around and say, look at me, I'm a fancy Negro. I is a fancy Negro. I got the fancy job and the fancy car, and I live in the white neighborhood, right? And you ain't thinking about living in the Black neighborhood. You're gonna go live in the white neighborhood because you really want to be of higher status, right? Because you don't feel that your status is validated otherwise. And that's a really that'll if you can internally generate your own self-esteem, that'll save you a lot of money, because a lot of consumerism is driven by them selling you your self-worth. All right, so moving on. There's something called loss aversion in investing, where you fear losing out emotionally, and it can anchor your worth to tangible rewards like money. So loss aversion might play a part here too. A third thing that could be going on with Summer Walker, and that in really interesting video where she says, if you, what is it? I think she said, did she say, if you lose your money, I will leave you, or something? Let me play the video again for those who just came in, who missed it earlier. I'll play it. So we're talking about Summer Walker, the singer, and this beautiful, beautiful lady who just in 19 hold on, has a really interesting perspective on relationships. So let me share my screen again, and we'll play it one more time. I like to look at stuff more than once. All right. So we'll share my sound. All right. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. All right. Now let's hit play. Here we go.
When you go broke, I will leave you.
Ah,
Figure it out.
so you're here to just bleed them dry. As
Yes.
soon as you get everything, you're off. Do you normally seek out the victims, or do they come? Is it inbound calls?
Oh, no. I never chase.
So it's never outbound.
I only attract.
Inbound only.
And if you came and talked to me, that's your fault.
Right, your prerogative. You signed up for this.
Ladies, if you try to ride or die, you will, in fact, die. Don't do that no more. You look stupid.
I do want to think, and maybe this is me being optimistic, that not like 100% exclusively that will be the experience. You know, maybe there are some good dynamics still left, no?
It could be. I'm not a man hater. I don't know. I just don't like them anymore.
When you say them.
Like men, I don't like to date wise. Like, y'all can provide, but like to like them, I don't know. When you go,
Okay, so I wanted to play that again for those who just came in, and someone mentioned her father. I pretty much I would put it this way. I would be very shocked. I looked around in her bio. I didn't see any mention of her dad. Um, I would say that she uh probably I would be shocked if her father was a wonderful man that was deeply involved in her life. I would just be stunned if she was like, yeah, oh yeah, my dad was always there and my mother loved him and they loved each other and we had a wonderful experience. I don't think that's the case, right? And it's really, really problematic that you have a community where it's more common to hear children talk about, it was just me and my mom and that was it, right? That's not really the way things are supposed to be, but we kind of think that they are supposed to be that way, and a lot of pain comes out of that, right? So moving on. The third thing that could be going on is there's something called the survival mindset, which can come from economic trauma. And so the psychological perspective is that if someone grew up in poverty, or if you witness financial exploitation, if you witness people getting taken by money, you may adopt a hyper pragmatic survival strategy, meaning you're just practical, like look, yo, this is the way it is. And so you can treat relationships like it's an income stream, right? And so Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's another psychology theory from 1943. It shows that if basic needs were never consistently met, love becomes conditional on security. To process that for a minute. Let's sit on that, man. That's heavy. Anybody heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Give me a yes if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let me know if you've ever seen that. Okay, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs, very powerful, very important in terms of understanding um, how we operate and what it means to have consciousness. Remember, this class is called financial consciousness. So consciousness means you're elevating up the hierarchy. And if you look at the hierarchy here, I just threw in a quick Google search. This is what it looks like. Look at this chart on the right, and you've got the physiological needs at the very bottom. These baseline needs: food, water, shelter, warmth. You got the next level: security, safety, employment, assets. Then you got social, family, friendship, intimacy, belonging. And then you rise up. Once that's established, you go to esteem, self-worth, accomplishment, confidence. And then you go to the top. This is what you aim for: self-actualization, which is inner fulfillment, where you're truly happy on the inside. You're generating your happiness internally. You don't need material possessions and all that. You grab a higher purpose. People like Martin Luther King would be argued to be somebody who had achieved self-actualization. So what they're saying here, according to Maslow, and maybe this applies to Summer Walker, is that if you never meet the baseline need of safety and security, then everything you do that you engage with at this level is conditioned upon receiving support at this level. Then you can't go to level 3, level 4, level 5 if you ain't handled level 2. And I want you to look at this: safety, employment, assets. How many Black people do you know are still stuck on level 2? I ain't got no assets. I'm worried about losing my employment. I do not feel safe. So if you really want to understand why, as a community, there's a big segment of our community that operates on that low vibrational frequency, it's because they're on a low rung of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You don't even feel safe, so you're not ready to move up and really know what true love looks like. You don't know, when you experience all these things, they're all going to be linked back to you getting emotional safety, perhaps by selling yourself to the highest bidder. That's where Diddy got all his victims. You because you're feeling unsafe and insecure, you align yourself with anybody that can give you these things, and you're willing to do anything to obtain this. So the job of us as parents, because most of us are parents or mentors or whatever, is to see if we can solve this problem right here so you can then focus on what's happening here. Because if the damage is done here, then there's no structure to be able to build up here. You can't build the family. You can't build genuine friendships. You can't build meaningful intimacy. You can't really have true belonging because you don't even feel safe. That's like me sitting here and I'm planning to give you the greatest lecture on earth, but I gotta go pee. If I gotta go pee, I can't be Dr. Boyce if I gotta pee and I'm hungry. If I'm hungry and if somebody's shooting gunshots through my window and I gotta pee and I'm hungry, you really think I can sit here and focus on these higher level ideas? No, I'm be like ducking and running to the bathroom. So the therapy is important. That's why we are very proud that we created the first ever Black financial therapy department in the Black Business School because ain't nobody talking about financial therapy. You need therapy. We need therapy because that lack of feeling safe, the fact that you're always in this survival mode, cortisol levels up here, literally this poison, eating away at your body is every single day of the week because you're always in fight or flight mode. Not only is that keeping you off balance, it's actually killing you. It's killing you. It's killing your families. It's killing your wealth. It's killing your possibilities. It's killing you physically, mentally, and everything else. So the next thing you know, you get 29-year-old influencers, some of the most influential people in the Black community who are being paid by people who are not Black to be propped up. And they say, here, take this poison and I want you to vomit your poison and your message to the whole world. We're going to give you a big platform so you can go out and make sure that every little girl your age is just as broken, just as toxic, just as poison as you are, because that's what you're supposed to be. Your people ain't never supposed to win. You're always going to be the victim. You're always going to be broken. And in fact, you're going to be so broken that you're going to embrace your self-destruction. I talked to a lady yesterday at the Power Networking Conference from Trinidad. And she said, she said, I have a thought that I don't want to be arrogant when I say it. I said, well, what is it? What are your thoughts? She said, well, she said, I don't understand why there are so many Black people who will vehemently defend their use of the N word. She said, I do not understand why you are so eager to call yourselves niggas. And I said, yeah. I said, there's a lot of other words in the dictionary. We probably could have picked any of them, but instead we passed over 347,292 words so we can really make sure that we get to use one. Like I'm like you ever notice that? Like people will defend the ability to use the N word more than they will defend anything else. They fight harder for that than they fight for reparations. You got people that will fight harder for that than they'll fight for their children. Get your you came up, you uppity man, And I think that is so interesting that we will do that. I said, man, that's really true. That's so interesting that we will really fight hard to defend the right to call ourselves the most degrading word ever, the word that our ancestors got lynched over, because somehow we love this. We pride ourselves on being in last place. We embrace that. And so she said sometimes it's really difficult to get people to move forward. She said, because where I come from, I see windows and I see doors. And she said, but when I talk to certain people, all they see are walls. So I'm telling you, there's a door and they just see a wall. You're like, come on, let's move forward. And they're like, no, I'm gonna sit right back here. I want to sit in my victim box because I want to explain to you why I'm a victim. I'm gonna explain to you why I'm broken. I'm gonna explain to you why I ain't got nothing. I'm gonna explain to you why I can't do nothing. I'm gonna explain to you what they doing to me, how they got it out for me, and they gonna stop me every turn. And it's a mental illness. It truly is a mental illness. So let's move on here. From a financial standpoint, one other thing about this statement by Summer Walker, this interesting perspective on money and men, is that there's something called a scarcity mindset. That's a real thing in economics. And Mullainathan and Shafir in 2013 wrote a research paper about this. They say where chronic resource scarcity reshapes your cognition, it reshapes your brain, and money becomes synonymous with safety and not greed, right? So basically, you see money as safety. So you have a scarcity mindset. You don't think there's enough to go around, which makes you jealous of the person next to you, makes you want to feel like, well, if they're doing bad, then that's okay with me as long as they're not doing better than me, and just stuff like that. I heard Steve Harvey said it that was really interesting. He said that he went on a podcast. He said your father is the only man you'll ever meet. He was talking about how sad he was when his father died. He said your father's the only man you'll ever meet who wants you to do better than him. And he said no other man wants you to do better than him. And I was like, really? So you doing well means I'm magically doing worse. Is that what you're saying? I don't understand that. I don't want to I don't feel competitive with every black man that I meet, because then you become kind of the enemy. That means I can't share with you, I can't partner with you, I can't collaborate with you, right? Why in the world, how in the world, what in the world makes me believe that you doing better means I'm doing worse? The hell does your success have to do with me? That doesn't make sense to me. I like Steve Harvey though. I like him as he's got some wisdom for sure. I met his daughter at a conference and I liked his daughter. I talked for a long time with her. She's a nice lady. Um, and but I just think that's the strangest thing. Like, really? And if you go into hip hop culture, which is heavily influential on black men, it's always very peacockish, alpha male-ish, competitive. Like, I am the best, I'm better than you, you ain't nothing, let me show you how I'm better than you. And that translates into behavior where sometimes guys will meet each other and be like, who you think you is? That kind of thing, right? Or there's got to be like this hierarchy. And I don't think that that's the right way to approach anything. I would argue that if you understand there's enough greatness for everybody, then you can collaborate much more easily. If you remind yourself that there's greatness for everybody. I can be great. Sure, I can really, just so you know, in case you're wondering, I'm a really confident person. I'm incredibly confident in what I do. That's why I yell it from the rooftops, and I don't care who's listening. I don't care if nobody likes it. It don't matter to me. I'm very confident. But here's the thing that I figured out is that I can be great and you can be great at the same time. We just be two great ass people just sitting there having coffee, right? Like everybody in this room can be great. And you being great, you going out making $1 million ain't got nothing to do with me. I mean, I hope maybe you'll give me some of the $1 million, right? Maybe we can partner, we can invest together. What in the world is it that would make you even think that somebody else's success has anything to do with you? It doesn't. It doesn't. So the scarcity mindset, I think that's something we have to explore. I think the scarcity mindset, I think it's used by politicians to pit ethnic groups against each other when really it's the rich people that are hoarding all the wealth. You get some guy that's worth $100 billion who gets people from different groups of poor people to fight each other. That's an age-old hustle. They've been doing that for the longest. All right, so number four, there's something called narcissistic or exploitative personality patterns. So for some, this behavior reflects instrumental relationships where partners are valued for utility, meaning what you can get from them. This aligns with narcissistic personality traits, a need for control and validation through external status. So this theory links to Kernberg and Kohut in the 1970s. They described what they call narcissistic supply, and that's seeking admiration and resources as proof of your worth. That the more stuff you have, the more worthy you believe that you are. And I've been in scenarios like that where people will go out of their way to tell me how much money they have because they think that I'm going to care. They think that's going to make them look different or better in my eyes, and it doesn't. It doesn't really. I'm going to look at your character, and if I don't like what I see, I don't care if you got $1 trillion. I don't want to be around you, right? The financial parallel is that this mirrors what they call status consumption theory from Veblen. This is an old theory from 1899, and where you seek luxury and financial dominance as a display of superiority. And that pomp and circumstance is very, very big. Like that's a really big thing done around the world. Let's see next. There's also something that may relate to this called social conditioning and gendered economic power. So a lot of cultural norms teach a lot of women, unfortunately, especially when they're in patriarchal or unequal economies, that financial dependency is safety or success. Okay, so basically, there's a feminist economic theory and relational cultural theory from Jordan, 1997. They note how power imbalances in labor and relationships can shape emotional choices. And that's true. When in a lot of relationships, the person that has the most money has a certain amount of power, and that can really drive the relationship. And so you got to be really careful when you align yourself with someone that's doing well financially, whether you're a man marrying a rich woman or a woman marrying a rich man. You have to sort of determine whether or not how that's going to play out in your relationship dynamics. The financial parallel is historically access to male wealth was often a woman's only route to economic mobility. So even now, intergenerational financial trauma can perpetuate hypergamy, which is seeking partners with higher financial status. So ultimately, there's a gender side to this, right? Which maybe it might align with the idea that perhaps she feels empowered with this idea of harming and exploiting and victimizing men, which I think is just kind of interesting, right? That literally sometimes when you take feminism to the extreme, you get to the point where the most extreme feminists sometimes can be misguided into believing that they become empowered by emulating the behavior of the very worst and most abusive men. And there's movies like this. Anybody ever see that movie? I think J Lo was in it, where there was a group of women who were basically drugging and stealing money from rich men. I don't know if anybody saw that. They were using men's appetite for sex as a way to exploit them financially. And it was perceived in a way or presented in a way that these women were actually heroes for, taking back their power and everything else. When really it's if you're a person who's never victimized anyone, right? If you're not waking up saying, okay, how am I going to harm a woman? It's scary, right? It's very scary for men. And I remember when I used to work at AOL Black Voices, and I got a note from a lady who explained to me what she and her stripper friends had done, where they would wait for athletes and entertainers to come into town, and they would lure them back to the hotel and then drug them so that they could then victimize them in whatever way, right? Maybe put them in the bed with a young girl or whatever and take pictures and then threaten, blackmail them. She also talked about a friend of hers that she was dating a guy who was the head of a gang. And what she would do is she would use their indiscriminate appetite for sex and their lack of conscious thinking, critical thinking skill to lure them back to the hotel. And she would literally get him naked, and then his friends would come in and kill the guy, right? But that's the oldest trick in the book. That's been going on for thousands of years, right? So ultimately, this is one of the reasons why I've always said that consciousness and some degree of sexual discipline is absolutely essential if you're a man that has resources, because they're always going to try to lure you in that particular way. So those who and you should really talk to your sons about this at some point. Make sure they hear this. That once you get resources, you're going to attract a lot of attention. And I can tell you, one of my rules is I don't really spend time. I don't spend significant amounts of time with women I don't know and don't trust. Right? Because look, it's a crazy world out here, and you don't know what people are thinking and what they're trying to do. Being married was great because it's like, well, I got my wife right here, so no, there's no misunderstanding, that kind of thing. And you have to take those precautions because there are people out there that are going to try to do things to you that aren't fair, right? So ultimately, with Summer Walker, I don't know. I'm not really concerned about her life. That's her life. She can choose to be whatever she wants to be. What I'm really concerned about are the millions and millions and millions of young women that are influenced by this. And it's not even bad enough that they're hurting people when you think this way, right? You're hurting the feelings of good men who might legitimately want to have a healthy relationship with you, and you're stealing from them, you're exploiting them, right? Using them, right? But then also, it doesn't seem to end up good for the even the victimizer, even the woman who says, I'm gonna sleep with men for money. uh there's consequences for that, right? There's STDs, there is abuse. There are lots of rich men who are very abusive, who say, yeah, I have. There was a famous guy that I saw. I actually know him, but I won't say his name. But I heard him say, he said, yeah, oh yeah. He said, because I have money, I can use women, I can get whatever I want, and I'll give you some insignificant amount of money, and that will allow me to have whatever I want. And I know for a fact this guy is not a good person. He does not have a high opinion of women. So if you are a person who is distracted by the bright shiny stuff, then you could easily fall for that. And I think that just is unfortunate, right? So really, I would say if you have daughters, I think one thing for sure is, besides just protecting and raising and supporting them, is if you teach them financial security and make sure they're financially secure. Like, you do the little things like invest for them when they're young, make sure they have plenty of resources when they get older. then they're not going to be as tempted to go sleep with somebody for $500, like, because they'll have $100,000 in their investment portfolio that you help them to acquire. And then generally speaking, I think what it also does, remember, money is not the destination. So when you have the financial security, you can climb up Maslow's hierarchy. You can seek out true love, because it doesn't have to be linked to money. You can seek out fulfillment, because you don't have to just do things for the money anymore, right? Process it like this. Think about it like this. When you are sent into the world and you're dropped out here with extreme financial desperation, meaning no assets, no financial backing whatsoever, then a large percentage of the decisions that you make when it comes to relationships and career and what you do with your time is going to be controlled by money. I mean, if you go back to Maslow's hierarchy, security, financial security is way at the bottom. So if you did not achieve level 1 and level 2, then what happens is that when you try to go to level 3 and you say, I want to do something that's really going to fulfill me and make me happy, the money's going to, the money, your financial desperation will bitch slap you in the head and say, no, no, no. You think you can be happy? You think you can find yourself? No, you can't find yourself. You better go find $200 to pay this light bill on Tuesday. And so next thing you know, you are, as my friend, my good friend Tiara Williams would say, she said, I realized that we're all sitting here on this floating rock, flying through space, paying bills. And that's, ain't that funny? That's a crazy way to look at it. But that's what it is. You're just sitting here on this floating rock, flying through space, paying bills. And paying bills becomes your top priority. Can't pay my telephone bill, can't pay my automobile. Maybe then we could chill. I don't think you do. So you and me are through. Do 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 do. So that means that if I can pay Beyonce's bills, she's gonna come and lay with me, and then we'll get to chill. I get to have sex, cause you ain't got no assets. Do 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 do. That's what you're saying. You're literally saying to me that if I can help you pay your light bill and your phone bill and give you the financial security that your daddy should have gave you, well, Beyonce's daddy did give. Actually, her father Matthew created her career in a lot of ways, so he deserves credit for that. And her mother too, Tina, brilliant people, right? But really, process that. So what they're saying in this song, which was very popular, to a lot of young women, if you can pay my telephone bill and pay my automobile, maybe then we can chill. So you mean you're gonna get naked with me and possibly have my baby? If I could come in loaded with all kinds of disease, every disease in the book, maybe even get away with beating your ass once or twice, and as long as I have enough money, it's gonna be okay. Money becomes my get out of jail free card. Are you serious? Wow. And you think you just empowered yourself. You're not going to be more powerful after that, because that doesn't make sense to me. That's weird. And again, I look at it in a certain perspective, because I'm an expert on money. All I did was study money for 30 years. So it's like, oh, you need some money. I don't have to go get, oh, that's where the money's at. So, so you mean we can get to work? Right? No. So my point in to say this is, when I hear songs like that, or ain't nothing going on but the rent, that's a depressing life. Why should your life be focused and centered around the rent? You got to have a job if you want to be with me. That's it. I don't understand that. So what I'm saying is leveling up really is your way to open up. It opens up the universe to all the things you could be other than just somebody riding on a floating rock, flying through space, paying bills. You deserve better than that. I mean, literally that status of just centering your whole life around paying bills and doing everything for the sole purpose of paying bills pretty much disconnects you from God, in my opinion. It really disconnects you from God, because what you're doing is you're worshiping a different God. You're worshiping the God of capitalism, because you centered all your relationships, everything you do, the majority of your time that you spend doing anything is spent around paying bills. And that's just not a way to live. And that is the key. That is one of the reasons why anxiety and depression and all these other mental health issues are so high, is because capitalism kind of is designed to keep you on the edge of desperation, where you have to constantly react to these financial imbalances that exist in your life. So, how do you fix that? Well, investing helps. How do you fix it for your kids? Well, they got 20 years to prepare. Anybody that wants to be a millionaire in 20 years, it's very easy to do. Really. You put the same amount of money that you spend on your car note in an investment account, buy some S&P 500 index fund. You ain't got to know nothing about stocks. You don't need me to do this. You don't have to come to this class to do this. You don't need a degree in finance to do this. You don't need none of this. You literally, all you have to do is love your kids. That's it. All you have to do is love your kids and know how to stick to the damn plan. You go in there, the average new car note now, I think, is about $750 a month. You put the same amount of money that you put into your new car into a portfolio, and you buy SPY, VOO, AIQ, any of these tickers consistently, and you do that for 20, 25 years, your child is going to have so much money, it's going to be ridiculous. Your family will be really wealthy in a couple of decades. Probably, actually, just really a decade, you'll start to see a difference. You'll be richer than most of your friends. And that changes everything. That changes your whole life, man. It changes everything. Now you're like, but your problem, your biggest problem at that point will actually be finding your purpose. This is where the therapy helps, and the meditation helps, and knowing your worth, and just kind of knowing yourself. Self knowledge, emotional intelligence comes into play, because you'd be amazed how people that suddenly find themselves having everything they want become depressed and sad, because they're like, I don't have anything to do. Nobody's making me do anything. I don't have to go to work today. What am I going to do? And if you don't know your purpose, if you can't find your purpose, if you're not a purpose driven person, then what you're going to do, unfortunately, is you could slip into what they call pleasure seeking behaviors. That's why you'll see rich guys, they have plenty of money, sitting around smoking weed and having sex all day. And, they just like, well, I might as well find something pleasurable to do. And the problem with that is that that becomes very depressing, because your dopamine levels are constantly pushed up, and then eventually you become immune to it. So you don't get excited about a new car. You don't get excited about a new girl. You don't get excited about having, more drugs, right? And that's really a death spiral. That is hell disguised as heaven. That's what that is. A lot of times you're to get to heaven, you got to go through hell sometimes, and then sometimes you think you're in heaven, but you end up in hell. So really, this awareness, this consciousness piece that we talk about, that's probably the most important part of everything that we discuss. We could talk all day about the financial fundamentals and how to invest in your 401k and all that. That's all easy to do, but really, that consciousness is critically important, because that's how you maximize the blessing when it arrives. That's how there's nothing more powerful than a person with a lot of resources who has a very clearly defined purpose. That person can go out and really change the world. Those are the people that make the world a better place. So I'm going to stop talking today, and I hope that this conversation has been beneficial to you. If you allow me, I want to share something with you. As you guys know, the All Black National Convention is going to happen in October of 2026, and that's our annual family reunion. We all get together, and we're going to get together in Brooklyn this year. And I wanted to mention that this is the first year that we're going to open the door up for sponsors. I mentioned to you all, Brooklyn, I put my foot in my mouth. I wanted to go back to Brooklyn because our supports there are so strong, and I know we're gonna sell out in Brooklyn, because I know how many of y'all live there or want to come there. It's a beautiful city, beautiful people. But Brooklyn is expensive as shit, and the reality is that we don't want. Somebody approached me about getting companies like J.P. Morgan Chase to sponsor and all that, and I just don't want to do that. I want Black-owned businesses as sponsors. So I want to show you all some of the sponsorship package in case you have a business that's looking for visibility. We have packages that go from 3,000 up to 25,000. And the trade-off, the agreement we can make with you is that if you help us make this thing work, we will give you plenty of exposure and visibility and help your business grow. That way it's a win-win-win. You win, we win, everybody that comes to the convention wins, and the community wins. Okay, so is that fair? Is that a deal? Is that something that you would consider? Let me know if you're interested or you would consider that. So what I'm gonna do is show you guys really quick. The team put together the sponsorship package, and we can, and I'll send you all the link at some point as well. But this is the convention is really powerful. If you were at the last one, I think it was pretty much sold out, and the rooms were completely full. There were well over 1,000 people there, the right people. We love InvestFest, but we're not emulating InvestFest. We don't want 20 or 30,000 people. We want high quality people that are ready to really get things done, do business with each other, that believe in Black wealth, Black family, strong Black culture. We're not trying to connect to an existing culture. We're creating new culture. So this is what it ends up looking like. That's Madam President, and that's another sister, Keelan Honda, who's a great hip hop artist out of Houston. This is Chris Broussard. He's on Fox Sports every morning, and he's a good guy. He does great work in for Black men in particular. This is Dr. Ken Harris, who has a doctorate in economics and Pan African Studies from Michigan State University, and he's also the head of Booker T. Washington's organization, the National Business League. And I think that's Dr. Lene Javette and Tiara KJ Williams, who is and Miss Black Hollywood. She just released an album this year. There's information on the attendees. And so we deliberately keep the number small. We will not sell more than 700 tickets because we do not want, last year we had over 1,000 because we did the partnership, but that was a little bigger than I kind of wanted. I like the intimacy so that you can speak with the speakers, you can speak with each other, and you can form groups. I know the stock options groups are going to get together. I know that those of you that are doing all kinds of investing in real estate and all that, I encourage you to set your own meetings at the convention. And so all the information's here. A lot of our audience is educated, bachelor's degrees and advanced degrees. That's the yellow and the green. But even if you don't have those advanced degrees, that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing but love and positive energy there. And anybody who's been to the convention, you should say something in the chat to talk about your experience because we've cultivated an experience that is very, very positive. We're going to have an entire children's track, so bring your kids. We will have young people to educate them. We're doing something for the 20-somethings as well. That's going to be really big. And so anyway, so here's the package, and there's different sponsorship levels from $25,000 down to $3,000. So if you want to sponsor the green rooms or a breakout session, or if you want to sponsor, or you want your logo positioned on the website, or if you want me to shout you out on Monday in the morning and shout out your business, send people to your site, or shout you out on stage, things like that. We have different sponsorships that are available here as well. And so ultimately, all this information is here. I'll send you all a text link where you can take a look and decide how you feel about it. And if you have a business, we can help you put your business on the map and help you get your business going. Or if you have a business that's already doing well and you want a good partner, we've been a great partner, but we only want the right partners. I do not specifically want McDonald's or Walmart and all that other stuff. I want people from our community that understand the mission, that understand the assignment. And we're really proud of what we built with the All Black National Convention. We just had year 10. And this has been independently funded. Like we paid for this. Every year it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. We get it done with our community because our goal is to show that Black people have the ability to be economically intelligent, economically independent, and to build institutions. Institutional development is what we need. Dr. George C. Frazier comes to almost every convention. He's right there speaking. There's Brother Nuri Muhammad, if you know, he's one of the most dynamic speakers and leaders in the entire country, on earth, actually. And so these are like Riza Islam, just so many great people that come to the convention. Who is it? Larry Miller, who was the CEO of the Air Jordan brand. He came in and also was at the convention when we were in Charlotte a couple years ago. So we have great people like that. So anyway, I'm going to send you all the information. I'll text it out if you want to take a look. Now, somebody says I froze. Did I freeze? Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Give me a yes if you can hear me and see me. I want to make sure I'm still coming through okay. All right. Okay, so I see. Okay, I see. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. So I see Spike Lee's name in there. Yeah, maybe we would invite Spike Lee. I'd invite Spike Lee. I'd allow him to come on the stage because I like Spike Lee. Not everybody would be welcome, to be quite honest with you. I think you know where we stand for the most part. If you want to know what our values are, it's that we believe that Black people should have stronger families. We believe that Black people should have stronger mental health. We believe that our community can benefit from better physical health. We believe also that our community can benefit from wealth, and that wealth can tie into stronger families, stronger mental health, stronger physical health. And so we don't sit around and complain about what white people are doing. We don't sit around and talk about Democrat versus Republican stuff. We have Democrats there, we have Republicans there, we have independents there, and sometimes they'll talk about it, but it's fine because somebody on the panel may disagree with you. We had a great discussion last year where there was a discussion where I think Dr. Frazier, he was a big Kamala Harris fan, and there was somebody else though who was on the other side, and I said, yeah, let's talk it out. Let's hear all the ideas. And that's what I want to see. And this is why we had to remain independent because I said, I'm not going to do some event that's sponsored by a political party. Like, no, you're getting, it's like playing basketball where you can only dribble with one hand. That's what it is. When you limit yourself by allowing some external entity to decide which conversations you're allowed to have and ones you cannot have, that is a tremendously horrifically bad impediment on your personal liberty and your freedom. I want the conversation to go wherever the conversation needs to go. I want to hear from everybody. And if you are down for the community, only condition I ask is, are you Black first? Are you truly committed to your community? Do you put your community above your political party? Do you put your community above everything else, whether it's gender, sexuality, all these other things? Do you put your community above even your fraternity or sorority? I mean, even though we get along very well with the Divine Nine, I don't care if you're an alpha and he's an omega. No, y'all brothers first, but they understand that, right? Because we got alphas and omegas and all kinds of people that come to the convention as well. I think that's the solution. I really do. I think it's a self-esteem issue. Do we want to win or not? Do we want to be better or not? Do we want to solve problems or not? Because if all you do, if you think you're solving a problem by sitting around and complaining about the problem, then you're wrong. If you think you're solving a problem by sitting around complaining about the people that created the problem, then you're wrong. If you think you're solving the problem by limiting where your solutions can exist or what kind of solution you can implement, then it's not going to work. This is true from a mathematical standpoint. This is mathematically true. There's something when I taught math at the University of Kentucky, there's a class that we had called dynamic optimization. And what we would do is we would have a bunch of equations and you would be looking for solutions. And so they say, okay, there's 8 equations, which means there's 8 solutions. And what would happen mathematically? Pay attention. I want you to see, tell me if you can follow this, because I don't want to get too deep, but let me know if you're getting this. Whenever you put a constraint on the system of equations, these equations are called systems. Whenever you put a constraint on the system, you obtain what is called a suboptimal solution. Let me say that again. Whenever you put a constraint on the system, you did not get the best solution. Why? Well, because you got a constraint. You're enslaving, you're controlling something. Right? So what happens is the problem with our community. Let me know, did y'all get what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you're following this. So what happens with the Black community is your community is looking for solutions. You're dealing with these systems and you're dealing with all kinds of constraints. Well, you can't, don't listen to no Republican because they don't know nothing, or economic constraints. Well, make sure you can be successful as you want as long as you work for white people, right? Like just all these things. Or we can be successful, but you got to be down with the culture. The culture. If you ain't down with the culture, then you ain't. All these stupid constraints, they are not working for you. That's why the problem doesn't get solved. I'm speaking as a mathematician here. In order to solve a problem, you must liberate yourself. You must liberate yourself personally and collectively if you're truly going to solve. If you're trying to solve a problem with your family needs to be liberated from constraints. That means you need to you need to stop worrying about what the Joneses think, stop worrying about what people down the street are doing. In our family, I remember the brilliance of my parents that I love them for so much was that they didn't give a damn what people down the street were doing. I would say, well, so and so, he did the same thing and he didn't get grounded for 2 weeks. My mother would say, I don't care what they're doing. When my father got his credit score up, he would have all these relatives that would come by and want to borrow money or get him to co-sign for stuff. And he would say, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not co-signing for that. He said, if you don't care about your own credit, what makes me think you're going to care about mine? Get the hell out of my face. That's what he would say. And basically, I noticed they just live without those constraints. They said, trifling relatives, we're gonna get away from them. We're not trying to do what everybody else is doing. If I say, well, mama, so and so, they got the same, they got those sneakers for school. My mother say, I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what other families are saying and other families are doing. We're going to do what's best for this family. And that is an example of what it means to operate without constraints. Our community, in my view, has a very hard time doing that. You have so many limitations. I'm not going to talk to that person because he voted for somebody different from me. I'm sorry, I love you, but that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why we can't sit next to each other and talk just because I voted for a different white man than you did. I don't understand that. That does not work. So that's what we created with the All Black National Convention. We don't have constraints. There's nobody telling us to do anything. I didn't have to tell anybody I was going to even talk to you about this today. I woke up this morning and said, yeah, maybe I'll bring it up in class and see if anybody has a business out there or something that they want to promote and they want to be a sponsor. So I'm inviting you all. And in case you want to be a sponsor, I'll give you an email right now. If somebody could type it in the chat. If you're interested in sponsoring something, you can email manager@boycewatkins.com. Just email manager@boycewatkins.com. Let them know you're interested, and they'll give you a form to fill out, and then a way to sort of make it happen. And so this is something that we're trying. We reserve the right to say no, because we don't want any and everybody everything out there. But if you have a good business and you're doing good stuff, we'd love to partner with you if you can help us get this thing done. All right. So that's it. And by the way, for those who just want to come to the convention, that helps as well. And again, I really don't promote it broadly. Like I don't want to run radio and TV ads for any black person with a 100-mile radius. I talk to you all about it first because you're the ones that I want there because we talk every morning and you understand the assignment, right? It's better to deal with people that are trained than it is to deal with people that are stuck, right? It's better to deal with, if you're talking about trying to achieve a team objective, you want teammates that know what the heck they're doing. You want competent teammates. So you're our teammates. I'm your teammate. You're mine. Let's go get this thing done. We're going to win. We're going to succeed. So the URL, if you want to get a pass or become a vendor, we also have vendor spots as well. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. All right. And also you can text A, B, and C to 87948 and you can get updates on the convention. That's A, B, and C to 87948. It's going to be in Brooklyn the weekend of October 16th. And that's what it is. All right. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And